What's going on, guys? Let's give a huge shout out to EditorX for sponsoring this video, and let's jump in. EditorX database model consists of collections. Think of them as buckets of data. Within each bucket, you have rows or entries, and each of those are made of columns of fields. Fields can be text, numbers, images, video, and even reference to other buckets. We'll want to start by identifying the purpose of our site. What data will we need to store, and if we plan to collect data from our visitors. Typically, it's always a good idea to sketch some flows around our data architecture. For example, in our StreamVR site, we will need to display dynamic pages for every movie and game. Each page will need to have its own URL for ranking on Google, and it'll need to be published by certain roles only. We'll probably want to create a collection for the categories like action, adventure, etc. This way, our users can easily browse and filter by their preferences. Every movie or game we publish will need a set of fields like cover, a trailer, a summary, categories, and even a multi-reference field for cast members. Finally, I can imagine users leaving a review or a score. So we could create a bucket for handling reviews that get submitted by paid users. The possibilities are endless, and EditorX gives us a lot of power. All right, guys, in our workspace, you'll be able to access our content manager by clicking this tiny table icon within our tools. Let's just create a blank collection. We get prompt to write a collection name and what this collection is for. I really like this because we can decide what kind of superpowers or permissions this bucket will have. For example, will it be basic data and public for anybody to see, or will it be data we collect from our users? But don't worry, we'll get into more of this later. Let's just give this collection name featured content. This will be for that cool slider in the homepage. Okay, so the interface is pretty straightforward. We just made our first database collection. If we start adding some of these rows, you'll see how familiar this is to a simple Excel sheet. If we create new columns or fields, we can set a field name to help us identify it in our table. Let's give this one the name of summary. Notice how the field key mirrors that name. This field key is invisible, but it is used if you want to later connect data through EditorX API. It's important to note that if you change the field name later, this field key will remain the same. So if you do plan on working with Velo or custom code, give it a unique identifier that won't need to change often. EditorX gives us a pretty nice list of field types to choose from. Some of the ones that I personally like are the Boolean, the video, and the media gallery. And you also get rich text, which is great for formatting blog articles where you need full control of heading titles, bullet lists, and quotes. We have this toggle to encrypt data. You'll want to use this when you're storing sensitive data. If we click on this hidden field button, we can see that by default, EditorX cleans up our table by hiding non-essential fields like row ID, creation date, and owner. These are known as system fields and are required in any relational database model. Go ahead and turn them on when you think it's best. For example, running a blog or something similar where you need other contributors. All these other filters are just for this current admin view, like table, list, gallery view, sorting and filtering data. These filters and sorting will only affect your admin view. We'll take a look at how to apply them in our published website. To finalize, I want you to understand the importance of unique identifiers in our collections. For example, this collection has a little flag icon in our title column. This is the main field of this collection. When we create reference fields to other collections, say for example, the cast members, the dropdown will always use the main field to bind it or connect to it. We'll cover this better in our next lessons. Oh, and before I forget, one of my favorite features is the ability to have a sandbox to play around with before going live. This is very common when running data across teams, where you're working on a series of new pages, but you'll need to preview or draft them out before going live. We can activate this feature by heading to our Content Manager dashboard, and under More Actions, click Advanced Settings. Let's go ahead and enable the sandbox test environment, just like that. Now, when we go into our collections, we can see this new pills to quickly see what's in our playground versus what is live. Once we're ready, we just hit the sync sandbox to live and boom, we got ourselves a smooth and safe environment to manage our data. Okay, in our next lesson, I want to talk about how real data flows in our site. So let's jump in.